Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Truth Matters with a Z broadcast. I am your host, Daughter of David. This is the very first episode, and I have to be honest with you. This episode is something that has been long in the making. I've been wanting to touch on this subject for a while. And when I say a while, I mean a very long time, because things have been happening over the years and it just grinds my gears. So we're going to get into it today. I want you to, as we talk about this topic, that you be open-minded and know that we know that nobody's perfect. You don't have to start going on that tangent that nobody's perfect. We know that. However, when it comes to leadership, there are standards, and there's a high standard, and we have to be aware of that, and we have to be willing to hold people accountable who are in positions of power, and more importantly, who are victimizing the less fortunate or the weak or the young. So let's get up beyond that. We are all sinners. We already know that. We're going to talk about these four men tonight who are very well known in Christian circles, and the scandals have been popping up for them. The first one we're going to talk about is out of Dallas, Texas. It's Pastor Robert Morris of Gateway Church. And this apparently is a mega church. It's the church of all churches, I guess, in the United States. Robert Morris is supposed to be a charismatic preacher, a leader of other pastors, and has a very large following and is highly spoken of. Well, recently there emerged allegations that are decades old of him being inappropriate, and I would say criminal, and I would say being a molester of a little girl years ago. And the really disturbing part of all this is that he recently made a statement, and his statement was that he was inappropriate with a young lady. And why that's so disgusting is the victim herself spoke out, and she's a lady now. But at the time, she was a 12-year-old girl. I used to be a 12-year-old girl. I was a girl. I liked to play. I liked to climb trees, jump rope, play with my friends. I was not a young lady. By him using that term, it really made it look like it was the temporary moral failure of two consenting adults. And then when the victim spoke out and say, no, I was 12, I was told, everybody's like mouths dropped open, and then it became, a lot more egregious than he initially tried to make it sound like. So it came out that this was a 12-year-old girl. He was friends with her father and her parents, lived in their home with his wife, and he lured her into a abusive and criminal relationship. And I wouldn't even say relationship. He subjected her to abuse. And after that, he said that the elders sat him down, and he went on this restorative trip where he was able to, deal with what he did. And 2 years later, he was back in the pulpit and have been ministering ever since. I cannot tell you how disgusting this has all been. For one, the church elders were negligent in ensuring that that child was taken care of, in my opinion. He should have been turned into authorities. This was not just a church decision or something that just the church should have dealt with. It was criminal. This was a child. And there's no amount of restoration that needs to happen if the law has not been brought in and proper procedures have not gone or have not been followed through to ensure that this person pays for what he did by law, and then does not victimize any other children, and then that the victim gets the justice that she deserves. So this was so disgusting to me. I can't think of a better word than disgusting. I'm not appalled. It's outright disgusting that this was allowed to go on, and this man has become rich, wealthy, powerful behind this. And it'd be different if he said, yeah, I did this years ago, I did this to a child. He would tell the story, but would act like it was toward, a consenting adult. So that's what makes this even more vile. And now, after it was made clear that this was not a young lady, this was a 12-year-old girl, then up he steps down, and up the elders are saying stuff, and up they didn't know, they weren't told that part. And I'm like, who would not look into who he was involved with? What adult would not look into that? I mean, what board, what leadership would not look into that and know that and deal with that? So Pastor Robert Morris, I'll just call him Robert Morris, very disgusting, very disheartening that he was a part of this, that he conducted himself in this violent, vicious way toward a child. And yeah, he has given a black eye to the church and to the Church of Jesus Christ by doing this. It's just outright disgusting. Moving on, also in Dallas, Pastor Dr. Tony Evans came out recently. He stepped down because of a past sin. He made sure to say that it was not criminal. For that, I guess I can be thankful for. A lot of people are speculating on what this past sin was. I have no clue. I have no speculation in that regard. What I can say for Pastor Dr. Tony Evans is the fact that he stepped down. Now, I don't know. I don't know if he stepped down because something was coming and it was going to be exposed. If that's the case, I do have a problem with that, because that means that you are not fully or really dealing with the guilt of what you did. You're just trying to lessen the blow by stepping down before it hits the airwaves, possibly. Again, I don't know. It remains to be seen. I do know that in this year of 2024 has come to serve, okay? 2024 has come in swinging, and people who are doing dirt at the high levels, there is a certain amount of exposure that is happening, and I mean, it is mind-blowing. So if there's something down and dirty that's going on with Pastor Dr. Tony Evans, it's going to come out. But like I said, I don't know what it is. I can't speculate too much. I am glad he stepped down, and I pray that he gets the repentance that he needs to, that he repents as he needs to and gets the forgiveness that he needs. And I pray that there are no victims associated with his sin. I pray there are no children involved. I mean, nowadays you just don't know. You can't put anything past anybody. So I hope and pray that this one is not as ugly, but it remains to be seen. Next, moving on. The next one is Bobby Hawk. Bobby Hawk is a pastor. He has had allegations come up against him. Bobby Hawk also was on a board of over a school board. He was like the superintendent or something of a school board, and allegations came up against him about years ago when he was a youth leader, and he was inappropriate with young girls. And there are people coming forward with these allegations against him. So again, a very, very disgusting and disturbing story coming out about Bobby Hawk. And again, People are being pushed into the corner. The exposure is hitting, and I'm here for the exposure. And I'm here for victims' voices being heard. A lot of time with these stories, when it comes to pastors, people of power, especially in the church, when it comes to church leadership, things are kept so quiet and so swept under the rug. And the poor victims, they are mistreated so badly by the mindless, people worshiping so-called saints. And it is disgusting. And that needs to stop. So I'm glad this is coming up and it's getting out there. And hopefully these victims are getting the validation and the support and love that they need. A lot of times we see more support and love for these people who have victimized people than we see for the victims. That is crazy. The next story is Pastor Mike Bickle. He's over the International House of Prayer in Kansas City. He's faced with several allegations of misconduct. He issued an apology and he stepped down, and he wants forgiveness and restoration. And that's all fine by me. Again, if this man is serious about wanting forgiveness and restoration, that's great. That's great. However, I rarely see these men say they're sorry to their victims. I rarely see it. A lot of times it looks like it's all about damage control and placating the audience or the church members enough, or their viewership, or whoever, so that the money doesn't stop coming. I could be wrong about that, but that's what it looks like. It looks like it's all about the money steadily coming in and people steadily supporting, because the churches, I'm sorry, they very much resemble a business. And if a CEO is let go, the business then puts up another CEO and business continues. And that's what it looks like in these cases. And that's very sad, and that's something that I believe the Lord himself is not pleased with. Okay? And I can tell you that he's not pleased with it because the Apostle Paul spoke about leaders. And in his letter to Timothy, he wrote that the overseer must be above reproach, faithful to his one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not given to drunkenness, not violent but gentle, not quarrelsome, not a lover of money. That's what we should be seeing. And I'm sorry, just from where I sit, my humble seat, it looks like we have a lot of leaders that are lovers of money. I was watching a video where one of the elders came out and spoke at, I believe it was the church of Robert Moore, and Morris, I'm sorry, the church of Robert Morris, and he seemed a very subdued, very saddened by everything. He had a speech that he presented to the audience, to the congregation, shall I say, and he even did a prayer that was like, the prayer, it was lackluster to me. It really didn't, it had no real, in my opinion, it had no real depth or real restorative power, or, it didn't evoke the Spirit of God to me. It was mainly to the people. It was as if everything was orchestrated to tell people, and this is just what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but it seemed like it was orchestrated to say, hey, yeah, this is really bad, what's happened, and I have children myself, and this is really horrible. I couldn't imagine. And but we're a body, we're family. You know, we're a church. We need to stick together. You all have benefited from this church, and just hang in there with us, and just keep supporting and praying. Just be praying, and it was all of that, and it just seemed like damage control, in my opinion. Even Tony Evans' son, I saw where he addressed the audience, and he talked about all that his dad had done for people in the past, and I can't say a lot about it because I don't know what he did, and I hope it's not as egregious, but I don't know. This prophetess Celestial, she's been exposing a lot of the dirt that these people are doing. She has a channel called The Master's Voice, and she's been exposing a lot of this stuff. And if you want to check her out, go over there and check her out. It is hard hitting, and it's not for the weak. But I'm just saying, for his son to say that, it just sounded like, hey, I'm talking to you all so you can stay loyal to the church, stay loyal to what we're doing here, and I'm his son, and I love him, and you know, I know you all love him because he's done a lot. He's done a lot for me. And it just seems like they're trying to protect a business. There is no mention, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, there is no mention of how hurtful this may be to Christ, to his church. There is none of that. And that's very, very concerning, because then that makes these churches about the men that lead them. And the Bible is clear that we are not to set up idols for ourselves at all. And that includes men. Powerful men. We should not be setting up idols out of these powerful men, out of these pastors and bishops and apostles. God forbid. Our church should not be our idol. These men of God should not be our idol. We should serve God and his Christ, and that's all. And we should not be doing what we're doing to defend wrongness. And we should not be looking at this as just it's going to be all right. We going to stay strong. And it's so much about we as a collective, as a church, and not we as a collective, as the people of God, and what we are presenting to the world. We should look different from the world. We should be different. But instead, it feels very much like a business, an organization. And I know I'm in an organization and a business. That's what it feels like. So we got to do better, you all. And we got to stop telling people not to judge and not to say anything. That is a lie. The Apostle Paul said a lot against people who were damaging to the church. So I pray for all the victims involved. I pray also that this exposure and this stepping down continues to happen, no matter how high it goes. I pray for a cleansing, a purging of the church. And I pray that believers begin to focus on the one who we should be believing in, and taking our faith and our belief and trust off of the leadership, because they are just men and they will fail. And I pray for their families. I pray for them. But we must hold these people accountable. We must. And we have to stop worshiping men and women in the church, on our TV screens, in the music. We have to stop it. So this is my first episode of the Truth Matters with the Z broadcast. Again, I'm your host, Daughter of David. Thank you for listening. I'll have more coming for you. I hope that you spread the word and share. And I pray that you live every day as if the Most High Himself is watching, because He is, and that we keep each other encouraged. Please pray for me. Bless you all. Shalom and goodbye.